Okay, hey guys, it's Dax Moy here from Dax Moy Personal Training, London Personal Training Studios, and blah blah blah. So many other sites and organisations that it could take me too long to explain them all. Today, I'm really excited because I've got a really special guest online, who I think is going to bring a completely different perspective to exercise, to nutrition, and to the experience that each of us can bring to our journey in getting to where we want to be, in achieving our greatest version of the grandest vision of what our lives could become, of what our bodies could become. This person, I only met him over the weekend. I've seen a lot of him on TV over previous months, but I've only met him over the weekend, and I actually just found his story to be absolutely fascinating. And as soon as I heard him tell it, I knew it would be something that you would definitely want to be hearing. So I've got Kevin McLernon on the line. Kevin McLernon, the 2012 winner of Biggest Loser, kind of achieved some amazing things on that show. And today, really, I want to chat to Kevin about his experiences of both getting onto the show, what it was like being part of it, and kind of, what the psychological, the physical, the mental, all the various aspects that have come about as a result of him both applying for it, getting on it, and what his life's been like since. So, Kevin, first of all, thanks very much for giving up your time today. I really appreciate you coming here.
No problem, Dax. Thanks a lot. I'm glad to be here. Can I just say what an absolutely awesome introduction that was? I've never quite had an introduction like that before. I'm blown away. Thanks very much for all your kind words.
Well, like I say, I mean, watching you talk, we were at an event this weekend where I first met Kevin face to face, and just hearing your story, I think was definitely inspirational to me. But I know it moved a lot of the fitness professionals that were at the event, and so I mean, I really feel like I did you an injustice with that with that introduction. But hey, let's get on with it. Look, Kevin, what I'd really like to know is, obviously we'll get into the specifics of what it was like to be in The Biggest Loser, and ultimately what it was like to eventually win it. But
yeah,
before we get to that, I mean, would you mind kind of filling us in a little bit on, who was Kevin McLernon and what was going on in his mind and his body before getting around to even thinking about and applying for The Biggest Loser? Just a bit of background on where you were in life at that time.
Well, before I applied for The Biggest Loser, I was 32 stone, there or thereabouts, fluctuating. I never actually got weighed because there was no scales other than the ones, the specialist ones that I could actually use. So anyway, I was, 32 stone. Life was a struggle. It was an existence. There was no sort of excitement in my life. There was no sort of, joy really. Even walking the dog, which is a simple little pleasure in life, was a struggle. I used to dread doing it. I didn't used to do it with, I did the dog an injustice, I suppose, because she didn't get to go very far for our walks. Just everything in my life, name it, and it was a struggle. It was difficult. I just needed to get out of the way of myself all of the time.
Wow.
I was huge. Just simple things like that normal sized people take for granted were just either impossible or a huge struggle for us.
So obviously I have a lot of American people in my community. I mean, what is 32 stone in pounds? Have you got any idea?
I was 450 pounds when I started the program, which is 32 stone 2 pounds, so it's 450 pounds.
Right. I mean, what had led to that, Kevin? What had led to you kind of getting so heavy?
Now, a lot of people would immediately think I was lazy, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I was working crazy hours in a business that I hated, so that certainly didn't help me emotional position in my life. I eventually got out of that business, but by then the damage was done. I was already 32 stone, and basically what I was doing, I was doing crazy things that are so simple, but I just wasn't doing them. I was missing breakfast. I wasn't eating in the morning. I was eating at lunchtime, by which point I was weak with hunger, and I'd have a massive carb-filled, huge fat-filled, chocolate-filled meal for lunch, and then snack on rubbish, just quick fix stuff that I could quickly grab because I was working all these crazy hours. I didn't have time to stop. Then I would come home and eat something late at night because I'd not be getting from work till 9, 10 o'clock at night. and it was just a case of all the wrong stuff at all the wrong times, with no exercise because of the job I was doing. I was sat down, and I was aware, obviously, I could not be aware that I was putting weight on every time I needed new clothes. I was buying the next shirt up or bigger jeans or whatever, and I was being made aware by some people around us that I was putting weight on. My parents would, worried about your weight, son, and my partner would, touchy, feely approach the subject because, it was a prickly subject like it is. Anybody who knows overweight people know that if you go and say, you need to lose a bit of weight, they fly off on one about it. So, it was because I would put it down to the fact that I just totally took my eye off the ball. And I know that sounds crazy, and a lot of people think, well, I take my eye off the ball and I put a couple of pounds on. But that's literally what happened. I was just so in the zone with my business. My business enjoyed quite a lot of success for a couple of years. But I just wasn't looking after myself at all.
Right, so can I ask the kind of the obvious, but I guess in some respects the really the often unasked question for all the reasons you just described. A lot of people they get a bit overly sensitized, I guess, to kind of thinking, I can't ask these questions; they're a little bit difficult. But I want to kind of ask it, and that's
sure.
You saw yourself get to 18 stone, then you saw yourself get to 20 stone, and you're going up in these clothes sizes and thinking, oh crap, I'm getting bigger, and then you see yourself at 24 and 25 and stuff. Each time you're getting this new kind of you're having to increase your clothing size. I mean, what's going through your head at that time? Because I know you said it was like this creep, but at each stage you know it's happening. So what's going on in Kevin's head at that time?
It was quite rapid. The size increase. I'd been on a diet called Lighter Life in 2006, I think it was, and I'd been in the mid-20s. I got down to about 19 stone, and then that's when I put all my weight back on from there. Within sort of like maybe just over a year. Around about that sort of time, so it was quite quick. But every time I bought a new item of clothing, and my clothes were getting tighter, I think, I'll start my diet, and literally a big case of, I'm definitely going to go to the gym. I'm definitely going to, diet and sort myself out on Monday. Monday would come, and I wouldn't get started on Monday morning because of whatever reason. Insert 101 excuses in there. So it would be, I'll start again tomorrow, and then, I'll start tomorrow, and then the next thing you know, it's Wednesday, and it's, I'll start again on Monday, and that's literally how it happened, and that went on for a few years, distracted by my business, and I was well aware of how I felt physically, I was well aware of how I looked, I was well aware of all the whole thing that I was talking about there with the clothes, and for some reason was this mental block, this sort of vicious circle that I found myself in that I just couldn't get out of.
So what became the trigger to actually, finally get off your butt and really do it? Because you mentioned these I guess mini commitments you did, Lighter Life, you did various bits, and you were kind of half committed to joining a gym and half committed to starting. What was it that actually finally made you say, sod it, I really have to do something now?
Well, like I say, it was a constant thing. It was constantly there that I knew that I needed to lose weight. It was like this sort of I suppose humming going on in the back of my mind, or often in the front of my mind. And last year, I went to go and see Tony Robbins speak, which I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will know who he is. He's an awesome speaker. He's great at what he does, and I'd liked his work. I'd admired his work with NLP and all that sort of stuff. And I went to see him speak. It was just a couple of things he said that sort of triggered in my mind, that, this is it. I've got to do something now. And he did quite a powerful thing. He said, turn the person to your left and make a commitment to them what you're going to do in the next 90 days to change your life. Now, this was actually a business event that I was at. Tony Robbins was only doing 3 or 4 hours. He said, turn the person to your left, make a commitment. And now, with it being a business event, loads of people have been saying, I'm going to make them cold calls I need to make, and yada, yada, yada. I turned to my left, and I was lucky because my partner Joanne was sat there, and I said, in the next 90 days, I'm going to lose 90 pounds. And I'd made that commitment then. I'd said before, I'm going to lose a bit of weight, and I'll get to the gym, and we should get some healthy stuff from Asda or whatever. But because I'd said that, I made a commitment, and then she looked back at me and went, I know you are. I know you're going to do it, because she really, really wanted us to do it. And I could see it in her eye, Dax. I could see that she believed that I was going to do it. As sure as I had said to her, I'm just popping to the shop, yeah, okay, yeah, I know you're going to do it. I know, and So when I got home from this event, I started looking for solutions, because that's what a lot of overweight people do. And well, I suppose probably people who are in good shape, who are looking for the 8 pack, or the or like, they're looking for something.
Yeah.
They go looking online and they find various different diets and various different people talking about what they've done in ebooks and all that sort of stuff. So I went on there looking for that different solution to what I tried before. Because I had tried all the mainstream stuff, and I tried exercise and all that sort of stuff. The doctor had sort of sent us to a specialist weight management group with the possibility that the end result of that would be surgery, which I didn't want to do. And I stumbled across the application form for The Biggest Loser, and I knew there and then that was my solution. I'd watched the show, the American version, and I loved the contestants on that, and I really admired them. And I'd watched the show last year in this country, and I looked and I saw the application form. I said, Joanne, shouted through it. I said, Joanne, they're looking for people for The Biggest Loser. And she came running through and she went, "You're going to win." And I went, "I know." And it's a funny thing, Dax. I felt this was it. This was my solution. I'd been given it. There you are. That's your solution. You're now going to lose your weight. And I felt really, really sure I would win. I wasn't confident. I mean, bearing in mind at this point I was 32 stone. I might have even been too heavy to get on the program. Never mind, actually, win it.
Yeah.
But I just had this feeling, this certainty that I was going to get on there and I was going to win. And for me, it wasn't about winning and then being in a position to, be able to talk to, go on GMTV or go on TV and stuff like that. It was about, because if I won, it would have meant I would have had to have lost 40% of my weight, because that's, around about what the winners usually win.
Yeah.
Lose, sorry. And I knew that if I did that, I thought, wow, that's a phenomenal amount, and that'll be quickly, and it'll be soon, and I'll have all the support I need. I'll have the trainers, I'll have the nutritionist. Awesome. This is my solution, and that's what I was focused on. So I applied. Now, I must admit, it took us a little while to apply, because I wanted it to be absolutely perfect. I wanted the application form to be perfect, because I knew this was my one chance. This was it. I have to get it right. And also, again, I had like the little voice in the back of my mind going, "Oh, that might be a bit hard, and oh, do I really want to, put myself through being on TV and having to, I've got to stand there with no shirt on and all these sort of like doubts kept creeping in." But then I'll go, "No, I'm not," and I'll overcome that and say, "No, I'm not. I want to do it. I want to beat it." I spoke to my niece and I persuaded her to come with us onto the program, because I had to apply in pairs, and I was over the moon, because she was in a similar position to me. She wasn't as heavy as me. She was 19 stone. She was, and I knew how miserable her life was, not only because I could see it, in the way she was outwardly, but I also knew how she felt inwardly, because that's how I had been as well.
Yeah.
And I was like loving the fact that I was going to be able to help her, get her into this program, and I knew how much it would change her life, and rightly so it has in loads of different ways, the same as it has for me. And so I talked to her, and I think I was saying this the other day, I sort of cheated a little bit. She said, "So are you away for 8 weeks and there's no contact at all with home?" I said, "Oh, I'm sure they'll let you ring now and again, and there'll be visits and stuff like that. It's just TV stuff." But I knew probably, I was 95% sure that there was going to be no visits and there was going to be no phone calls. Where I'd said that, I think she'd be like, "Oh, no way," straight away. So I sort of tricked her into doing it a little bit. But and we laugh about it now, and she's just like so grateful and so happy for what we've achieved together. I won the program, and she came second. We couldn't have wanted for anything better.
Well, just obviously before we move on into I guess the mechanics of getting into the show and stuff, couple of things that really jump out at me there. One of them is, and I guess it's another question I want to ask here. You're at this Tony Robbins event, and you and Joanne kind of looked at each other, and you said, "I'm going to win," and she said, "I know." I mean, what had happened in the minutes or hours or whatever that had led you to be? Because the way you describe it, I mean, you'd made loads of promises to do the whole Start Monday thing, right? So.
Yeah.
Where did that certainty come from all of a sudden? What had happened?
The night when I turned to Joanna Tony Robbins and said, "I'm going to lose 90 pounds in 90 days." When I said it, I believed it, but it wasn't, with a massive certainty, because that's how Tony Robbins works. If I don't know if I've ever seen him, or if anyone who's seen him, he gets people to work with each other and really make a commitment and talk about it. But it was when Joanne spoke back to me and said, you're going to do it. And I could see it in her eyes. You know, she was just
Right.
right there in front of us, and I could see it as I looked in her eyes for probably longer than I had for a long time. Because, you know, being the way I was, I felt guilty. I did feel guilty because, you know, Joanne's quality of life wasn't great because of me. And it was quite an intimate moment, even though there was 8,000 people there. And it was when Joanne showed that belief in us and said, I know you are. And then when I got home and started looking, and, you know, this was a few days later once we got back from London, and started looking for this, like I say, this magic solution, and she said, you're going to win. It was almost like, you know, like I said before, it's just with such certainty, and I felt it. So whether it was something Tony Robbins did or whether it's just the feeling I got from Joanne, you're going to win, I was like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
It's just something clicked, and, you know, I wish I could put my finger on exactly what it was, but I think it was just, this is it. I found my solution. You know, I'd struck gold. You know, I knew I had to lose weight, and I was looking online, and, you know, you see all the adverts for various different weight loss groups and stuff like that, and I'd been to the gym before, and I know the chap that owns the gym that I ended up training at when I was on Biggest Loser, in between being in the house and being in the final. And I'd done all that, and I was just looking for that solution, and this was something completely different, something that, you know, I'd never obviously tried before, and that I'd really admired other people who'd done it, and straight away I was thinking of these guys in America who were, you know, they were like my sort of size, and some of them even bigger actually, who'd done it, and they'd lost their weight, and I was like, that's it. This is, you know, I'd struck gold, bang, there it is, and I just felt this like feeling of, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and, you know, God only knows where that feeling came from, and, you know, but it was there.
Brilliant. So walk us through the actual mechanics of getting on the show. I mean, is it hard to get on? What do you have to do?
Well, you apply. We did an application form, which is, you know, quite extensive, asking lots of questions that are hard to answer. And, you know, there's the standard questions, and, you know, but then start asking questions about, you know, how you put your weight on, and then the worst moment in your life, the best moment in your life, and all sorts of different questions. Some of them are quite hard to answer, and you need to, you're very well aware of what you're doing. I suppose it's like filling out a job application form, but harder. You really want this, and you don't want to muck it up, and you just want to make sure it's dead right. So you do the application form, and then you get a telephone interview. Now, I submitted my application form, my name's application form, on the 20th of July last year. And within 2 hours, we got a phone call from a girl called Amy, and did a telephone interview with me. And said, I'm just going to give Amy a call. And I thought, oh, you know, because Amy was very shy and timid at that point. And I said, oh, well, I'll tell you what, she doesn't answer the number, she doesn't recognise. I'll ring her and let her know you're going to be ringing, so she definitely answer. So I rang her and briefed her up, and Amy started panicking. Well, what are they going to say? I said, well, they just asked us the same questions as we did in the form, so just answer them and be honest. So they rang Amy, and that went well, and she rang me back and said, right, great, we want you to come to Glasgow on Friday. So we went to Glasgow, and there was other potential contestants there. And what we did there was we had to sit and talk. There was two of the producers in a camera, and we just had to sit and talk and answer questions about how we felt, much like what I have with you. You know, how did you get where you are? How do you feel if you got on the show? How do you feel if you won? Various different questions like that. And then we had to stand there in my shorts on camera in front of someone, and just talk about our body and what we hated about our body, and what we liked about it. And my answers to them questions were, what do I hate? Everything. What do I like? Nothing.
Right.
And then there was an anxious wait until the following week. And in the meantime, it was my birthday. My birthday was just taken up with me obsessing about Biggest Loser, because from the minute I pressed submit on that application form, my whole life was just taken over by it. My focus was just totally on that. So anyway, we waited and waited, and we got a phone call in the middle of the following week saying we'd like you to come to London in 2 weeks' time. And that was like, you know, incredible. It was awesome. I'd visualized that moment for so long, and the funny thing was, I'd visualized it coming when I was on the beach, and that's where I was when the call came. And there was Katie who rang me up and said, we really like you and we'd like you to come to London. There's only going to be 25 other couples. Bear in mind, there was something like 1,000 couples applied. There's going to be 25 other couples at London. So, you know, we just want you to know that we do like you. And at that point, I was thinking, we've done it, we're in. So off we went. We went to London, which was, we went overnight the night before. And we went, and it was an early morning start, and we went to this university. And at London, what we did was we had to do a medical exam. So we did like blood tests and blood pressure and all that stuff. It was a psychological assessment with Thomas, the psychologist, a doctor interview with a doctor called Dr. Foster, who told me something quite interesting. He said, if you get on the program because of your age and because of your abuse of your body in the past with yo-yo dieting, your metabolism is likely to be pretty slow and you're going to need to do this through exercise. And that was very much something that was in my head all the way through. Biggest Loser was, I've got to do through exercise because diet wouldn't work. And he was right, because the 1 week where I didn't get to exercise as much as I normally was the week when we were in Florida in Biggest Loser, and I lost 4 pounds, which is a great loss in the outside world, but in the Biggest Loser competition, it wasn't. As it happens, I scraped through, but that's sort of like, for me, reasserted what he said. You need to keep moving and doing stuff. So we did the medical exams. Now, on that day, it was quite tough. We had to do a step up. I believe you know what it's called, like a technical term for like
the Harvard step test. Yeah,
that's the one. Stepping up and down for, I think it was 3 minutes, and honestly, I don't know how I did it. I was absolutely wrecked, and I was thinking, oh, they're not going to let us in because I'm so puffed out and so sweating off doing that. But I was heartened when I saw somebody else falling over later on. I was like, oh well, maybe I'm not the worst one. So, and also on that day we had to sit and do talk with other potential contestants and do a dummy elimination, which was like, that was quite hard as well to do. Just pick, right, you've met each other now for 20 minutes or whatever it was. Now pick someone to leave.
Oh wow.
And that was quite hard to have to do. And I remember Amy kept saying to me, I hope the person that shared pit, I hope she doesn't get in the house because she'll have it in for us. As it happened, she didn't. But that was quite an interesting day. And then they said we'll be in touch in 2 weeks' time. Now, in the meantime, there was loads of phone calls, more questions, and more of the process, of various different assessments, and more blood tests we had to get, and various different things. And more I was thinking, we've done this and definitely, definitely done it. And then they said we'll be in touch. It was either on the Monday or the Tuesday, if whatever day it was that week, to let you know whether you've made it. And we'll ring you and we'll say you're in, or we'll ring you and say you're not. If you're not in, we don't discuss why you're not in, and that's just how it is. So I was sat there waiting for the call, and it came, and thank God it was good news. She said, "Hi, it's me. How are you doing?" And I didn't want to do that. Skip the small talk. Yeah, I'm fine. Good. Yeah. Right. Well, would like you to join me in the house. I was like, it was awesome for me, but at the same time, it was like, great, brilliant. But it was almost like, right, yeah. I thought you would. Right, I'll see you in a few weeks. And I don't want that to sound like arrogant, but that's just how it felt. It just felt like that's what she was ringing to do. It just really felt that was what was going to happen. Almost like a sixth sense or something. I don't know, like the universe.
So it sounds like you've had like an amazing amount of certainty as you've been moving through this. You've decided this is it. This is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I just felt, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in the house, and this is just going to be a process. And I just don't know where that came from. I think it was because I'd watched Biggest Loser a lot as well, and thought, that's what I want to do. That's my solution. I want to do that. And then here I was. I'd been given it, and there was no way I was going to blow this opportunity. This was my opportunity to get to where I wanted to be. And we got the place in the house, and I think it was 4 weeks later we were there.
I remember watching the show, and I remember, I guess from a fitness professional's perspective, being absolutely horrified that the very, very first activity we ever saw you all do was a 5 mile or a 5K run?
5K cross country run.
5K. I was looking and going, oh my God. I mean, was that for real? I mean, did you turn up and a run was the first thing you did?
As you saw it, we pulled up in a fleet of cars, got out. Davina McCall was stood there, and she said, "Welcome to Biggest Loser." We could see the house in the distance, and she said, "There's the Biggest Loser house, and you're going to be going there cross country, the long way." And it was really hard. And the worst thing about it was the person the team who come last, are automatically up for elimination the next week.
Wow.
Now, I knew that the chances are I was going to come last in this because I was the heaviest by some way and the oldest. So the lads who were nearest me in weight were considerably younger than me.
Right.
And I thought considerably more fit than me. So it was really, really a super tough run. It was, as I saw it, running through mud and stuff like that. And I just said to him, you go, because I didn't want to hold her back and for both to be last. I wanted her to do really well for her confidence. Mm-hmm. And she was shouting, come on. And, I was just so proud of her at the end of that run. I got really emotional. They didn't show that on TV, but I was, I couldn't speak. I was so emotional about it, about how proud of Amy I was. That she'd being the one who, I thought when we went there it would be me having to drag her along all the time, but it was the other way around. She was, come on, you can do it, let's do it. And what happened was we went off in 2-minute intervals, so one team would go, and then 2 minutes later the next team would go. And then it was timed at the end as to who got around the slowest would be on the bottom, under the yellow line, which means you're up for elimination. And the team who got around fastest would be free from, would have immunity, so they couldn't be eliminated the next week. Mm. And as we were running round, I got overtaken by, each team got past us, and Amy was long gone. And then I noticed that the brown team, who'd gone off last and we'd gone off second, still hadn't appeared. And I was thinking, there's a bit of distance here between us. There's a bit of a distance. And then I saw one of them, and he was, I worked it out, he was, I kept working out the minutes of how far he was behind us, and I thought, well, he could still beat us. But his partner wasn't anywhere in sight. And eventually I got to the biggest was our house, and Richard Candler came running down the drive to us, and that was a really nice moment. Richard Candler came down and said, I believe in you. I've seen, I've read your file. I've seen your videos. I know you can do this. I know you can. You really instilled confidence in us, and me and him ran across the line together, and that was awesome. I actually ran us so far then Davina McCall came and took the glory, getting us across getting across the finish line. But then I was sat there waiting on the grass, and it was Sam. He just didn't appear for ages, and then eventually he appeared and he got across the line, and I was thinking it's close, but I think I might have beat him, and right enough I did. But that it was exactly as you saw it. There was no sort of made for TV moments. It was there was resetting the cameras and a warm up. We did a warm up with the trainers before we actually started running. But other than that, it was a 5K cross country run.
Had you done any training for that, Kevin?
No.
So because this kind of flies in the face of pretty much everything, not just definitely what the mainstream public believe, but certainly what most fitness professionals believe. I mean, how does someone who is 32 stone, so what did we say that was in pounds, 400 and what?
450 pounds.
450 pounds. How does someone who's 450 pounds, who hasn't trained for it, run 5K cross country with no preparation?
I ran for the first couple of 100 metres, because one of the reasons I ran was I didn't want anybody else to see us walking. Yeah. At first, and I didn't want the cameras to see us walking, and once I'd gone a few 100 metres, which bearing in mind at that point I would have been knackered walking that. Yeah. So we got there and I had to stop for breath, and then I just sort of jogged and walked and plodded along as fast as I could, but I didn't apart from when the very first time I stopped was to catch my breath after I'd run. After that I just really, really power walked. And it was just, I wanted this so bad, and I wanted it like nothing else, and there was no way I could afford to be under the yellow line that week. No way, because I think a lot of people would look and go, well, he's the biggest, he's going to lose the biggest amount of pounds, which was true, but what they didn't also realise is if I lost 11 pound, they could lose 6 pound and still have a higher percentage of weight loss than me. Right. Because it's about
percentage body weight, yeah,
percentage of your body weight, and even some of the contestants didn't quite grasp that. So I had to sort of make sure I wasn't going to be under the yellow line, because would send us home. That's the name of the game. You get rid of people who, if you can. But I just had this drive from somewhere that I was going to do it. It was hard. My shins were killing us. I was, could hardly breathe properly. But I just did it. I just really, really pushed myself. They didn't just say, right, go on, see you there. As you went, there was a medic, every couple of 100 metres, and, there was camera crews and the trainers appeared every so often. So it was safe as far as all that sort of stuff was concerned. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I think it's just a case of, I think one of the things that I think everybody learned that day was that we were all a lot capable of a lot more than we thought we were, and I think that applies to most overweight people.
And that's what I was just going to ask you. I mean, let's not kind of pull any punches or kind of make no bones about it, right? We're not just talking about obesity. Obesity kind of kicks in at quite a low threshold, but we're talking about morbidly obese, like seriously obese at these kind of body weights.
Oh yeah, I mean the weight I was, it's sort of, I can't remember what the obesity the words on the obesity scale, but where I was so far past the last marker that really there should be a new title for it.
Right.
And I used to use the phrase American fat. With no disrespect to your American visitors, it's because everything in America is bigger than what it is here.
Yeah.
And you see people that the size I was at 450 pounds a lot more than you do in this country in America.
Yes.
And I used to use the phrase American fat, but it was sort of like, super obese. It was sort of like, Hulk, size. Yeah. I don't know. There needs to be a new word for it, because I was just at 32 stone 2 pound. It was just, I was way off the scale.
And so, I mean, that's what amazes me, that at that kind of size with no training, you still, I mean, there are people at those kind of sizes who can't walk to the corner store, right? Or they tell themselves the story they can't walk to the corner store at least.
Yeah, yeah, right? Well, they do. But I bet you if the corner store was 2 corners away and it was full of Mars bars, they probably still could do it.
Yeah.
And that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. The truth is that people, it's exactly what you say. People tell themselves this story, I can't do it. And it's only when they're really put under pressure. If the house was on fire and they had to run out of it, I'm sure they could run. It's people tell themselves a story and fill themselves full of self-doubt. And for me personally, there's just something clicked in my head on that day as well, where I just thought, I've at least got to get this finished. I've got to get there.
So on that first day, there was zero doubt that you were going to finish that 5K.
No doubt at all. I was going to finish. And a little behind the scenes story, we actually surprised everybody, because they said to the trainers and everybody, how fast do you think they'll all be in? They said, well, probably about an hour and 3/4 for the slowest one and just over an hour for the fastest. We all got in faster than they thought the fastest person would get in.
Oh wow.
It caused a little bit of a panic, because the reason why they'd asked them that was so they could set cameras and all that sort of stuff. And it caused a little bit of a panic with the cameras. They didn't have enough crew, because people were coming across the finish line a lot quicker than they thought they were. So they had to do a little bit of a rejig, I think. Well, I was pleased with that.
That's pretty amazing in itself, And again, what it's highlighting to me is how low we've set the bar. How low. Again, society's story about what an obese and an over-fat person can actually do. The bar has been set amazingly low. But often I think maybe, and you'll be able to tell me better than this, but I mean, maybe by the obese people themselves are setting the bar extremely low too.
Of course, because that's how people end up where they are. They tell themselves stories, and that's the story that they're telling themselves, that they can't even walk. And I was like that. That was my mindset. I would get hot and bothered walking. Naturally, I would get hot and bothered, because that's just physical. That's physics. I couldn't use my mind and focus to not get hot and bothered.
Yeah.
But I could have certainly used my mind more to push myself more. Instead of walking half a mile or a mile or whatever, I could have maybe walked 2 miles. I think people really need to realise that they're capable of far more than they think they are and other people think they are.
Right. I think obviously we all get the gist of what the show's like in general. So all the various challenges and stuff. What was? I mean, I guess there's two, but maybe they tie together, these two questions, right? What was the hardest challenge, and was there a challenge that kind of did tempt your quit button, if you know what I mean? Kind of, was there something that made you think, oh my God, I don't know if I can finish this one?
Yeah, right. The hardest challenge, and the challenge that pressed me quit button, was the last challenge we did, which was climbing up the Brecon Beacons in Wales mountains. And what happened there was, basically, it was a case of, right, the first one at the top is got a place in the final. And I knew there was no way I was going to get to the top of the mountain before anybody else. At this point, I was seven stone heavier than anybody else, I think. 7 or 8. No. Probably about 8 stone, yeah.
Right.
Dax, I'm just going to pause there because this is feeding back. That's better. That's fixed.
Okay.
It was feeding back. Right, sorry, so I'll start again. So the Brecon Beacons challenge was both the hardest challenge physically and also the challenge that really I got to a point where I was like, I've had enough. Now, the reason why I was saying that, I knew the winner was going to be getting a place in the final, and I knew that winner wasn't going to be me, so that was quite frustrating. Um, and also, as we were going up the mountain, which was, it was like practically vertical in places, I'm a little bit dicey with heights, which I know, a big bloke like me, what's it, man, are we a man up sort of thing. I was just a little bit unsure of the heights situation, and it was just a little bit uncomfortable for us. And at one point, I was scrambling up these little paths, and I was with Charlotte Ord, she was nearby, and I said, well, that's it, I've had enough. I'm not doing it. And it was the look on Charlotte's face that actually got us to move again, because it was like, eh? You're saying that? Because plenty of other contestants at some point or another said, "I've had enough. I'm not doing it anymore." There's various different situations out with people, but I'd been sort of at all points, right? Yeah, I'm doing it, and it was almost like the look of like disappointment and surprise in Charlotte's face. Right, I'll do it, and I had a bit of a moan about it, and Charlotte was saying, "Come on, you can do it. You can win this." And I was like, "Oh." I'm really laughing about it now, but I was like, oh, of course I can't win it. And that wasn't like me. But with the challenges, I was a bit more realistic, and that's exactly what I said to Charlotte at the time. I said, I know I'm positive, and I like to say positive, but I'm being realistic. I'm not going to win. By this point, I suspect the person who won, Sarah, was probably already at the top when I was having this conversation. But Charlotte was just trying to gee us up a bit. And with the challenges, that was very much the theme for me. There was very few challenges that I was going to be able to win. I was involved in the winning team twice. One of them was when we had to dig some tokens out of sand, which was a matter of luck and me sort of like visualising where I wanted to be. And the other one was pulling the bus. And I was in the winning team for both of those challenges. The rest were real physical challenges that were difficult for me, like an assault course, walking across a beam, across a swimming pool, things like that. Were just like super difficult to do physically, not just so much because of I was out of breath or whatever. It was just literally physically being able to like move the bulk that I had, move my body, and throw myself over assault course obstacles. So I'm sort of blessed that I was able to get through each week despite at times having a disadvantage or you get like a £2 weight disadvantage if you were last in the challenge and stuff like that. And so looking back on reflection, I suppose. The challenges I got through despite having that, which I'm quite pleased about.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just what really, really, really stands out to me, and I've already said this, but there's a couple of things. First off is just how much not just yourself, I mean, you and the other contestants are able to pull out the bag. It flies in the face of it completely flies in the face of the cultural story of what fat and obese people can do. Completely, it's completely opposite to everything we've been told. But also, you've spoken several times there about kind of visualization and seeing things in advance. I saw myself doing this, and how important was that to? I mean, obviously, I'm fairly certain you're going to tell me it's really important to you. But I mean, how important was that in the house? Were other people kind of seeing? Kind of using similar techniques yourself, were they kind of visualizing themselves as winners and completing stuff? Are you aware of whether that was going on or not?
I don't think there were, no.
Right.
From conversations I had with them, the only other contestant who was doing it was Amy, my niece, because I was coaching her through it, and getting her to use visualization and sort of gratitude as well. It's the old stuff from The Secret, be grateful for what you want to achieve and what you want. Be grateful for it as if you've got it. And it worked sometimes and didn't other times, but every week I'd be grateful for the fact that I got through the weigh-in, be grateful for the fact that things had gone well that week, and I'd be grateful for a specific amount of weight. I never actually hit the specific amount. I was 1 or 2 pounds off now and again, but I was never quite there. But I was grateful for getting through the weigh-in, and every week I did get through the weigh-in, so maybe that was the universe helping us do that, and maybe they couldn't help out on the challenges when I was saying I'm grateful that I've won the challenge. And maybe like, well, hang on, we'll keep your gratitude till tomorrow for the weigh-in. But yeah, I used that a lot, and I used it a lot when I was at home as well. In between finishing the Biggest Loser stint in the house, 8 weeks in the house, I had to do 16 weeks at home, and I used it a lot then. And on occasions, I could really get myself really into a zone. Everyone has like a vision and sort of like they can look and see what they want.
Yeah.
But you can get yourself into a point where you really, really, really see it. And actually, when you start to feel it and hear the sounds, and it's really difficult to do. Loads of people pretend that they've done it, but when you actually really do it, it's an outstanding experience. I did it. I visualized. I was on an exercise bike, and I had a text from my friend saying it was the morning after a show. Oh, you were awesome last night. You're a local hero. And I was listening to a tune called "Local Hero" by Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
And it's quite an emotive piece of music.
I was listening to it this morning.
It's awesome. It's sort of that and "Lose Yourself" by Eminem are my two theme tunes.
Right.
So I was on an exercise bike and I started doing my visualizations. I had my head down. I'd had a really good workout and I started visualizing, the final and being there and Davina McCall saying, "Kevin, you are the biggest loser," and I actually started to get emotional. Like I felt like I would have had won. And I was like, wow, that was powerful. And I'm a great believer in visualization. I do it now. I did it then. And all I would say is it's worked for me. And at the end of the day, it doesn't cost you any money, and it's worth a try for anybody, really.
Yeah. You brought up something really, really important there as well, or really interesting. The crossover, I guess, between being in the house,
Yeah,
and then being left to your own devices. I mean, how? Because I can imagine. I'm from a kind of ex forces background, and I know that obviously when you're on the army camp and everyone is doing the same stuff, you can put yourself through some pretty immense stuff, right? You kind of everyone in your unit is waking up. You're all doing the same PT. You're all running up and down the same hills, going over the same. It's very, very different. When I joined the reserve forces, when I left full time and became a reservist, like the TA, the Territorial Army, you're going there at weekends and you're expected to keep yourself fit during the week by yourself, and you just meet with you guys, one weekend a month. It's a very, very, very different proposition. Kind of 5 days a week, you're in charge of yourself, and you're having to get your butt out of bed in the early mornings and go out for a run when you got no mates running with himself. What was it like making the transition from the house to just being, Kevin all by himself and doing his own stuff?
that's an interesting sort of analogy, or whatever you call it. It's interesting because when I came out of the Biggest Loser house, I said I feel like I've been discharged from the army.
Right.
Because obviously I wasn't ever in the army, so I would imagine that's what it felt like. I had loads of support. I spoke to Richard Callender at least once a week, usually probably 2 or 3 times a week. I spoke to the producers of the show all the time, and I had an excellent support network at home. But that's what it was like. So I've been sort of almost institutionalized being in the house. Having everything so regimented and knowing when I was going to be doing this and doing that, and almost having to put your hand up to go to the toilet. I mean, you didn't really, but it was like it was very much like that. Well, very much looked after. It was great. It was great. Actually, I had nothing to worry about at all. It was a great experience, and then going home. It was a little bit weird just adjusting at first, adjusting to different people around us and adjusting to just going into a shop and having my own money. And, when I was in Biggest Loser, if we're going on location to film a challenge, we would go to services, it'd be like straight in and out, and there would be no stopping at the shop sort of thing. So it was tough at first. For the first couple of days, it was quite hard to get adjusted. And I remember my mum rang Joanne up and said, "Is Kevin all right? He just seems really, really quiet. He just seems like in a bit of a downer." And I thought he'd be really pleased. He's got his place in the final. That's what he wanted. And I was fine. I was just sort of reflecting and sort of getting back into my zone at home. But I was really fortunate. I had an excellent support network. With Joanne, my parents, my brothers, the gym people, my trainers at home were excellent. Richard Callender was absolutely superb throughout the whole process on the phone and everything, and all the help he gave us, which I'll be eternally grateful for. And my trainers at home were very motivating, and they really wanted to do well. And of course, I had Amy, and me and Amy, helped each other. Made sure that that we're all right, and we spoke every day, continually. I mean, we still do have some sort of contact every day, and we didn't before the program. It was, we'd speak to each other maybe every week or so, but now it's like every day we have some sort of contact, and we just supported each other through the process. And I know we were competing against each other in the final because there was only 3 places in the final. I had one, Amy had one, and Sarah had the other one. So me and Amy were competing with each other, and there was the banter, she was going to beat me, and I was like, yeah, I just let her get on with it. I knew what the plan was, and we supported each other. So really, I think it was because of the support network around us, because I had the support of Joanne and the support of my family, that there wasn't really any big issues. There wasn't really any big problems. I still got to the gym twice a day at least.
That's what I was just about to ask. What did training and nutrition look like for you when you were under your own steam, as opposed to being in the house? Because it looks pretty. It looks like you're doing kind of a hell of a lot when you're in the house. What did back at home actually look like? What was the reality of it?
It was nearly the same as the house. The house we would train 4 times a day, but at home I trained twice. And I was still, my weight loss numbers weren't as big as what they'd been in the house, but they were still really good. I think my average at home was about 7 pounds. Well, the average overall was about 7 pounds, I think, 7.5 pounds. So we're still, I still worked really hard, and the nutrition, again, Joanne supported us really well there. So I kept the same diet that I did when I was in the house, the same structure, which was, I'd have porridge for breakfast, which I know loads of people would jump all over that and say you shouldn't have that, but, here I am 13 stone lighter, and I had porridge for breakfast, so something was going right. And then for lunch, it would be a portion of carbohydrate and protein and vegetables. Then for the evening meal, it would just be protein and vegetables. So it was like a pretty basic diet, and you put nothing revolutionary, and nothing extreme either. It's nothing anybody couldn't do themselves at home now.
Right.
Simple. There's no secret supplement or secret recipe or secret, I didn't stand on one leg while I ate, tomatoes, but I was a certain shade of green. It was just all sort of like, the stuff that everybody's heard before.
Yeah.
And that's what worked for me. And I know there's loads of different, and I've been really interested hearing a lot of like different stuff about nutrition over recent weeks. But for me, that's just what worked.
And that's important as well. Find what works and use it. I completely agree. There's no one absolutely right answer. There's your right answer.
Yeah, and you can overthink it as well, because that was maybe one of my problems in the past. I was overthinking it, which diet to do. I've read this on the internet. I've read that on the internet. Should I do this diet? Just do something. Just cut your calories down if that's what you want to do. Cut your carbs out. Whatever you're going to do. I wasn't actually calorie counting. It was like just portion. I knew if I had that much protein and that much carbs and that, the vegetables and whatever else, then whatever happened with the calories was thereabouts. But it was sort of like maths as well. I'd go to the gym and I'd know I'd burn so many calories in the gym, and I knew I was eating roughly this amount of calories. Whilst I wasn't obsessed with the calories, I knew roughly it would be, a certain number of calories, and I just knew how much I had to burn off at the gym, and I knew what my body was burning just if I just did nothing. And I thought, well, that's where I need to be. I had my target calorie burn, if you like.
So you get back to the house. Ultimately, final weigh-in. What was the final numbers on the scales? What did you lose?
Well, the final, we didn't go back to the house. We was in a studio in Maidstone.
Right.
So it was like a live studio, if you like. It was like, the X Factor final type of thing. And my final weigh-in was 19 stone 4, which is 270 pounds.
Right.
So I lost 180 pounds.
180 pounds.
In 24 weeks.
That's amazing. So they call you out as the winner. What goes through your head then?
Well, what happened was, the came to say us in the afternoon of the show and said, here's the running order. Amy goes on first, because all the other contestants came out first. Everybody got like a reveal, and they were all sort of grouped together, and then there was the 3 finalists. And they came to see us because we all had one little dressing rooms, because we weren't allowed to see each other or anybody else. It was like, right, Amy goes on first, then you, then Sarah. Now my immediate thought was, as you probably can gather, would be, well, the person who's going to win is going to be coming out last.
Right. And
I was like, it was as if I'd been punched in the face. I was like, oh wow, I can't believe it. I was thinking, what's happened? This wasn't the plan, sort of thing. And so when the time came to do the show in the night time, my head was like a washing machine inside, just spinning. And everybody else, as I spoke to them about it later, when I saw them, they were saying that they were really nervous before they went out because there was like 500 people there or something. And I was like, I didn't even consider that. I was just worried about what I had won. I just wasn't even bothered about being in front of people or the fact that it was, being recorded as live. It was quite a slick operation, and. So anyway, off I went out and I did the reveal in my suit and did an interview with Davina and got on the scales, and I'd wanted to lose 40%, and I did lose 40%. That's what I'd visualised.
Wow.
The scales saying 40%, and that's what it was. Dead on 40%. I wish I'd visualised 50% now, but there you go. And I remember I laugh about it now, but at the time I was dead serious. Davina said, you now weigh 19 stone 4 pounds. You've lost 12 stone 12 pounds. And I went, excellent. Another 2 would have been 13 stone. But that was just how I was. It was like that just isn't enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, we stood there and we had to stand there while Sarah came out and did her reveal in a nice gown and everything, and then she got on the scales. And I could look at most men who are overweight between 15 stone and 32 stone and roughly guess what they weigh, because I've weighed that myself. But with women, I'm hopeless. So I was looking at her. And I was thinking she's looking really well, and everybody else was saying, "Oh, we could tell straight away she hadn't lost enough to beat you." And I was like, "Oh God!" And I was standing there getting ready to do me sort of fake Oscar smile and me claps. Yeah, well done, excellent. And really, I'd been at and I knew what she needed to be. She needed to be 12 stone to beat us, and it took ages for her weight to come up. And when it came up, I knew I'd won, but I couldn't celebrate. I had to wait until that percentage came up, and that for some reason just took for an age. So I stand there, pan-faced, all these things going through my head. I've won, I can't believe it. I've done it, it's done, I've done it. And it was really surreal. And then once it came up her percentage, then I just went crazy. I cuddled Amy, and then I was cuddling, and I remembered what they said, the floor manager had said, if you win, you need to come straight in the middle, don't hang about. So I I get in the middle of the stage, and I was saying, come on, you need to be in the middle of the stage, and I went there and I was like, yes, punching me hand, yes, get in. I was just really so pleased,
Yeah.
But then once that was sort of relief. Once that had passed, it was like, yeah, I thought that would happen. And I ended up feeling a little bit flat for a couple of days.
Right.
Oh, is that it? The way someone else has described it to it is probably what it's like for brides the day after the wedding.
Right.
Because brides, they turn into bridezilla and have these massive wedding plans and they have this big day and they build up for years or whatever, and they get to it, and then the day after it's like, oh, that's it, it's over. And that's what it felt like for a couple of days. But then obviously I lightened up after that, and life's been great since.
Right. So I guess the big and obvious question that pretty much everyone would ask, and certainly something that I've asked all the time, right? Because I remember in some of the first series of kind of Biggest Loser, and I'm sitting there with my fitness professionals, kind of critiquing, slagging off head on.
I was going to say, did not mean slagging off, not critiquing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, it's all right. But as soon as they leave the house, you're going to see that all pile back on. I mean, what's been the reality since leaving the house? What's happened on the weight front for you?
I've lost. I'm a little bit lighter than what I was, but not massively. So obviously my weight loss has slowed down. I had a weekend away straight after the final, so I put a little bit of weight on then, but not loads. And you know how it is when you've lost a lot of weight yourself. I know you've lost weight yourself and lost fat. As soon as you eat anything you shouldn't, you put it back on.
Yeah.
So I've lost a bit, but I'm sort of back on it now. Going hell for leather. I want to get to my target weight. I want to have credibility as someone who, I've done it and I've finished what I started. A lot of people go on these programs and actually get to finish what they started within the program. I was never going to be able to do that. I needed to lose, 17 stone plus. That just wasn't going to happen in 24 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was always going to have something to lose at the end, and I'm really very much back on that now.
But the short answer to that is you haven't gained. You've continued to lose.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Which
is
I
might have gained at times, but it's come back off.
But the overall is a downward is downward since the end of the show.
Yeah, downward trend. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I know you can't speak for everyone else, but I mean, is that true of the other contenders? Do you know, or
the ones it's true of the ones that I've physically seen, right, which is Amy, Gerard, Paula, Amy, Sharp, Gemma, who was on it, Jesse, who was there. They're all the ones I've actually physically seen. They've still continued to lose weight. The rest I don't know about.
See, and again, that slaps in the face many of the theories of of many of us, and it was myself included. I was certain that, okay, yeah, that's great. All these guys are running around on this show and they're being beasted by their trainers and they're having all their nutrition taken care of. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's see the reality of it when they actually come off, and that's really both surprising and heartening to hear that. Blimey, you've kept it. Not only have you kept it off, but you've whittled some more off on top of that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. But as far as I'm aware, everybody's done that. Everyone's sort of stayed either within touching distance of where they were, or they've actually lost a little bit more.
Right.
After something like that, 24 weeks, I think it's fair that people are going to maybe have a little bit of a break and that. And I've had a couple of holidays and a few weekends away here and then, but I haven't let it get out of control. And one of the things I would say as well, when I have eaten something that I wouldn't have eaten during Biggest Loser. And I'm not saying anything bad, because I don't like the bad food, good food thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just all about controlling yourself. But when I have eaten these sort of things, like I had a chicken tikka masala at one point, it was nice, but it wasn't like eating heaven, like you would expect it to be after eating chicken and sprouts for 24 weeks.
Okay, so I mean, what's life? What's life for you after Biggest Loser? I mean, what are your plans moving forward, Kevin?
Well, I've still got me. I'm still doing my property stuff that I was doing. That was me sort of me career before I did Biggest Loser. That's still going on. But me goal now is I want other people to experience what I've experienced. But unfortunately, not all people are going to go on Biggest Loser. But they can all lose a lot of weight, and they can do it safely, but also very effectively and quickly. I want to help people do that. I want to help people get their minds right and get themselves as close to or in the same zone that I was in, of this is just going to happen. I'm just doing this because it's a process and I've got to do it, like clocking in at work and clocking out. One day I'll get to where I want to be, and it'll be me holidays. That'll be, I'll retire. That's what you do at work. But with this, it's just a case of I'm just going through the motions. I've just got to get this done, and this exercise is just what I've got to do, and that's what I want to help people do, and just get people in the zone where they're having great success with weight loss and keeping the weight loss off. And I would like to work with fitness professionals as well and helping them understand better how to work with obese people and really overweight people who really want to do it, and work with them to teach them to help people with their mindsets as well. I've got loads of different things I want to do, Dax, and I'm writing things down all the time. What I would like to do. I really enjoyed the thing I did at the event we were at the weekend, the live interview. I really enjoyed doing that. So I've got loads of different things that I want to do, but ultimately I would like to be able to make a difference, because you get loads of people who've sent us messages saying that you've inspired us, and since I saw you on TV in January, I've lost weight. I joined Weight Watchers, I joined Slimming World when I saw you, and I thought if he can do it, I can do it. And I would love it if just one of them people lost all the weight, lost it, and changed their lives, even if just one of them did it. But if I can do it on a bigger scale than that, then I'd die a happy man.
Wonderful. And so, I mean, we're coming to the end now. But I mean, if you were to kind of top 2 or 3 things that you would say to anyone who's sitting at home right now, really unhappy with their body, unhappy with, how things have worked out for them up to this point in their life, and kind of thinking about trying to get going, but suffering from the same "I'll start Monday" syndrome that you were suffering from before the start of all this. I mean, what kind of 2 or 3 real tangible things could they do, or would you say to them about kind of getting things sorted, achieving even a little bit of what you've achieved? What would you say?
First things first, when this interview's finished, get off the internet and go and do something that's going to move you in the right direction. Whatever it is, you've got to find something to do, be it go for a walk, if it's the right time of day that you can go and do that, if it's on something in the middle of the night here, if it's go and sign up for some personal training or some sort of fitness camp. Is it go and get some healthy food in? Is it go to your kitchen now, this minute, and throw away all the crap that you shouldn't have in there? Just do one thing now, in the next 20 minutes, go and do it. That would be my first thing to do. My second thing to do is to tell your family and your friends and people who you care about, people who you love. I would say 99.9% of people have got someone that they care about and love, or at least someone that they really respect. Tell them and mean it when you say it, that you're going to do it. Tell them where you are now, where you want to be, and when you're going to be there, and tell them how you're going to do it. And just put yourself out there, but look them in the eye. Don't say it with, well, I'd like to lose a bit of weight, and you say, I'm losing weight, this is it, my life's going to change, I've had enough, I'm not going back, I'll never be this heavy again. That was my line, I'll never be this heavy again, and I'm going to lose weight, and next time he says I'm going to have lost 30 pounds, and that's going to be in 30 days time, or whatever, you've got to set your own goals, and set that goal and make that promise to someone, put yourself out there, put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter, put it wherever, so more people have seen it, because I found that by putting myself out there and shutting the door behind us, there was no going back. It wasn't an option. It just didn't enter my head that I would ever not do what I'd said I was going to do, because I'd exposed myself so much by going on TV and talking about it. You know, once I'd done it, there was no going back. I couldn't say, actually, I've changed my mind, I'm just going to stay where I am, so can I delete all them tapes, or just say, no, we can't, we're still going to put it on the telly, and that's just the way it is. But people can still do stuff and put it on YouTube and ask their friends to share it, and just put them, and just ignore the, you know, you get idiots who make, you know, nasty comments, ignore them, just put yourself out there and shut the door behind you. That's my second tip. Just really it is uncomfortable, it's, you know, you mightn't like it, but it'll really help you keep motivated. Once you know that other people have seen this video of you telling people what you're going to do, it really does work. I mean, I had to do it stood there in a pair of shorts in the middle of the city centre. I'm sure people can sit and do it in the privacy of their own bedroom, and you know, and put themselves out there. Third thing is to keep momentum. To every day, just do something, change something. If you don't feel like you can make a massive change immediately, and make drastic changes in your diet and exercise regime, do something every day that is moving you towards your goal. Write it down what you're going to do and do it. And at the end of the day, you know, recognize that you've done it and pat yourself on the back for it and say, yeah, I said this morning that today I was going to walk a mile. I've done that. Pat on the back. Well done. And celebrate with, you know, different things. Don't celebrate with food and drink, you know, and do it. Celebrate by getting on your YouTube and telling people, and you'll be surprised at how supportive your friends will be, because I can tell you now, the people who love you mightn't say much to you about your weight, but they're thinking it, and they're not thinking, you know, how horrible you look. That doesn't even enter the head of the people that love you. The people that love you are worried about you. They're worried that your life's going to be short. They're worried that you're going to be ill, and they're worried that their life's going to be affected by it as well. You're doing these people an injustice, so commit to them, and then share with them. Commit and share is what I would say you need to do. Brilliant. And keep that momentum going day in, day out.
You know, I'm really smiling as you're talking, because the 3 points that you just said, they actually reminded me of the presentation I gave the other day where we actually met, and what you just described actually sounded very much to me like ABC: authenticity, bravery, and commitment.
Maybe somebody else is stealing your shit.
But I mean, no, it's brilliant, because, you know, kind of we're saying it in using different words, but essentially it's the same message. So that truism is actually passing through. That's amazing. Kevin, I want to really thank you for taking the time today to share your story and share. You know, certainly I've had some of my thoughts around the show The Biggest Loser, and the idea about what the TV show puts people through. Certainly that my thinking's been challenged by listening to you speak. Definitely, I had my fitness professionals head on and kind of tutting and what are they doing? I think you hit the nail on the head. We've set the bar far too low, and people can do a hell of a lot more for themselves than they're currently doing if they change the story that they're telling themselves. So I would just really, I'd really like to thank you for opening my eyes, and certainly I know it's going to open the eyes of a lot of the people listening to this call today. I mean, just before I wrap up, I mean, is there any final message, or have you got any website or anything you'd like people? Have you started doing any work towards your coaching stuff? Is there any place people can find out more about you?
Well, I'm on social media. You'll find us on Facebook. It's Kevin.McLernon, which is McLernon. That's my Facebook. Twitter is at Kevin McLernon, McLernon. And my website is kevinmclernon.com, where there's a newsletter people can subscribe to, and I'm going to be getting my first one out this week, where I'll be probably talking about the event that we were at and just where I am at the moment, and talk about things that are coming up. I'm also doing a bit of a tour around the country with Katie Bull-McCook, who recently won Personal Trainer of the Year in the UK, and we're going to be going to various different venues around the country, but details of that I'll also be on my website as well and on my Facebook.
Brilliant. Kevin, once again, my friend, thank you very, very much for taking the time with me this evening.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Dax.
Cheers, buddy.